G'day guys and gal. Every faction in 40k has their epic unbeatable heroes, until those heroes meet up and beat the shit out of each other. The Imperium has the Primarchs, the Tau have Shadowsun and Farsight, the Orcs have Ghazghkull, and the Eldar have the Pheonix Lords. Chaos doesn't really have one because all their big bads get clapped more often than a wannabe female actress in Hollywood. The Pheonix Lords are awesome, named as such due to their ability to come back from the dead via reincarnating whenever one of their followers dons their armor, their soul being so powerful it overwrites the new wearer and adds them to a collective consciousness. They have been known to slaughter greater demons by the dozen, solo beat entire Tyranid armies, terrify the greatest horrors of 40k, and just be all round awesome. But just how powerful are they really? Could they take on a Primarch? If they couldn't resurrect, would any of them still be around? These questions and more shall be answered in today's video. Before we get started, with the Raven Lord launch all done and dusted, it's time to get back to regular scheduling, baby. We are today releasing the Space Elf Spider Lord, an agile, multi-limbed badass. This mysterious warrior can blink in and out of existence on a whim, teleporting where our enemies least expect her. She comes with 3 head variants, one being unhelmed, one being helmed, and the last one being an early prototype helmet that I decided to include because I was feeling generous like that. She also features a custom base and is just such a clean, stunning model, a must-have for any Space Elf army. With this release, we have expanded the Space Elf Lord bundle from 5 models to 6, meaning you can get all 6 Space Elf Lords in one purchase with free shipping and 20% off. The Space Elves include the Avenger Lord, the Death Lord, the Fire Lord, the Scorpion Lord, the Hawk Lord, and now the Spider Lord. These just make up a fraction of the major mini range, which contains a shitload of models from a shitload of different factions. Link is below. Shipping is only $10 worldwide or free if you spend over $75. Today we'll go over just how powerful a Pheonix Lord is really, briefly detailing what they are before going over their feats of power. Also, shout out to Alex Christie for the amazing thumbnail art for this video. Full res version is available to download for free on my Patreon. Let's get into it. To understand the girth that is a Pheonix Lord, we need to understand what they actually are and why they're so much more powerful than a normal Eldar. When the fall of the Eldar happened and the craft worlds were suddenly in the come zone, without a strong military in a galaxy that was now turbo hostile to their existence, the craft worlds were nomadic trade and exploration ships, not military fleets. So a brave warrior who survived the fall of the Eldar despite being on an Eldar world at the time of the fall emerged to save them. His name was Ilianthin, but you may know him by his stripper name Asurmen. Asurmen handpicked some of the finest Eldar warriors in the galaxy and trained them to become his aspect warriors, elite Eldar warriors who could hold back the enemy and protect the Eldar. These aspect warriors then became X-Archers, which were the elite of the aspect warriors before going off to found their own aspect shrines. The act of founding an aspect shrine, with all of its ceremony, rituals, and likely the need for a super soul stone, ascended each of Asurmen's pupils into Pheonix Lords. So you couldn't just say, bam, I'm founding the aspect shrine of the buttfucker 5000s, and then become overpowered. You would need to forge your Pheonix armor using hectic Eldar voodoo and become so in tune with your distinct fighting style that the warp itself recognizes you. It's not entirely clear why only this first batch of Asurmen's pupils would go on to become Pheonix Lords, with maybe a couple more doing so over the next 10,000 years, but becoming a new Pheonix Lord can safely assume to be wildly difficult. All Pheonix Lords are significantly faster, stronger, and more durable than normal Eldar. When Jan'Zar was attacking a Night Lord's warband, they initially thought her footsteps were rain because she was so fast. Then when one of them managed to stab her in the leg, she treated it like a minor scratch that barely bothered her, whereas most Eldar would have lost their leg. Even when she was blown up with a grenade point blank, she still survived and was only finally killed when a dreadnought stomped on her. As for the nature of the Pheonix Lords, they are inherently protected from psychic attack or corruption because they themselves are warp phantoms. When Asurmen was fighting a greater demon of Slaanesh, the demon was horrified when it realized it couldn't actually see Asurmen's soul or warp signature. This means that you can't just pop a Pheonix Lord with warp powers. If you want to take him down, you gotta do it the old-fashioned way. Asurmen then proceeded to give the greater demon true death, as his sword was one of the few weapons in the galaxy that can permakill demons, like the Emperor's flaming sword. Pheonix Lords also act outside of the rules of fate, sort of like how Primarchs do. They are so uniquely surrounded by divine destiny and power that it's impossible to predict their fate. Eldrad attempted to manipulate Jan'Zar into following a set path. When she realized, she simply thought about it, froze all potential futures, and then picked her own path, greatly disturbing Eldrad. It's unclear if Jan'Zar is just exceptionally gifted in this regard, since her patron god, who she is an avatar of, is Morai Heg, who is the goddess of fate, but I like to think it applies to all Pheonix Lords to a degree. Pheonix Lords are super Eldar, but a lot of that is due to skill. It's been remarked that a Pheonix Lord will never waste an ounce of energy. They are so skilled that every strike, parry, dodge, shot, and roll uses the absolute minimum effort required, so they consume an extremely minute amount of energy, allowing them to fight way longer than anyone else can. Now, a lot of you may have heard the story of Margan Ra soloing a shitload of Tyranids, and there is a bit of confusion regarding that. Some people think he soloed an entire Hive fleet, which while that would be sick, it wasn't quite the case. A lone Tyranid bioship, which to be fair can carry thousands if not millions of Nids, attacked a world. Margan solos the swarm that comes out of the bioship and even kills the bioship itself. Now Margan and his gun are fucked. It's like an armor-piercing Gatling gun shot by one of the most accurate and skilled marksmen in the galaxy. Every shot would be a kill shot, taking out not just the Nid it hit, but also the next 3 or 4 or more behind it. So if they were lured into a valley or kill zone, with Margan having the high ground, if he is pumping thousands of these death bullets into the swarm every minute, he could be easily killing close to 10,000 Nids a minute. If he was also prioritizing the Synapse creatures, the Tyranid horde would keep hesitating and scattering. Margan is also a monster in melee combat, having soloed large Tyranid bioforms in the past in melee, so the few that would reach him would get eviscerated as he turns himself into a hurricane of death. As a fun fact, Margan Ra appears to be the only Pheonix Lord who has never died and is still kicking in his original flesh, feeding into his Lord of Death persona and the fact that he is the wall that all things break upon. Probably the most insane feat of power I've seen from a Pheonix Lord is Fugan, the Fire Pheonix Lord. During the war between the Eldar and Khorne, Fugan was said to have slain 32 Demon Lords, which is the name for elite demons such as Demon Princes and Greater Demons. It could also refer to special demons like Skull Taker. I have never heard of anyone else getting even close to that kill count of elite enemies. This war only also lasted a few months, not a few centuries. Now versing Khorne is pretty handy for racking up kills. They charge at you, you blast them with your fuck you death fire stick, they die. Rinse and repeat. None of that Zinch bullshit or Nurglite regeneration, but the feat remains wildly impressive. Drazar, the original Pheonix Lord of the Striking Scorpions, would go on to become a Dark Eldar and found the Incubi, the Dark Eldar elite warriors. He once easily killed 3 Custodians in melee combat, Custodians being the most powerful unit type in the Imperium. For context on how insane this is, it's often theorized that in a non-plot armor fight, it would take about a squad of Custodians with maybe an Alaris and a shield captain to take down a Primarch. So this puts Drazar somewhere in that ballpark. Now you may be wondering what happens when a Pheonix Lord and an Avatar of Cain square up, which has actually happened. The Avatars respect the Pheonix Lords and will back down if challenged in most situations. Margan Ra tempered his blade in the heart of an Avatar of Cain, which sounds like he challenged it and slew it. So we can comfortably say that Pheonix Lords are more powerful than Avatars, who themselves are ranked slightly higher than Greater Demon status, but a little bit weaker than Primarchs. Now for the elephant in the room. As Pheonix Lords can be resurrected, they have significantly less plot armor than a Primarch and are often killed off by the riders for dramatic effect. Sometimes they're killed in epic ways that show off their prowess and cement them as juggernauts, but other times it's a bit pathetic. No faction gets treated worse than the Lord than the Eldar, that is a fact. There are scenes of a Pheonix Lord dominating their enemies, making Greater Demons look like bitches and genuinely invoking the kind of awe you'd get from seeing a Primarch. But then there are riders who think of Pheonix Lord as the world's best punching bag, making them barely survive encounters with the demons that they had easily slain in previous lore, or just making them straight up die to some pretty unimpressive enemies. It's one of those situations where you could just look at their worst moments and write them off, or you could look at their best moments and see them as demigods. A good way to describe it is everyone has bad days. Some days a powerlifter will deadlift over 1,000 pounds, other days he will shit himself and have a heart attack. The main thing here is to look at their most powerful feats, as that indicates their potential. Speaking about Janzar again briefly, recently she joined the Ynnari and as such is turbocharged with the power of death, which more or less makes her unkillable. She dueled Drazar, who was the better warrior, however despite him killing her over and over, Yned instantly revived her and made her stronger until eventually she slew Drazar. With the other Pheonix Lords also joining the side of the Ynnari as well, are we going to start seeing insta-revive Pheonix Lords on the battlefield? Because if yes, that opens up a whole nother ballgame of overpowered. So just how powerful is a Pheonix Lord really? Well, their feats of power seemingly put them above the level of a Primarch, especially the bonkers shit that Fugan can do. However, Pheonix Lords are also made to kill demons. They are specialists. They emerged as the solution for the Eldar after the Fall, which was when a tide of demons raped most of them to death. So while they may be better at killing demons than Primarchs are a lot more versatile. A Pheonix Lord should body any Space Marine and almost any Custodian bar Valdor and maybe Trajan Valoris, and against the Primarch it should be a mighty battle. I'd honestly think they would beat a Demon Primarch, being demon killing specialists after all, but against something like the Lion, I don't think they have the strength or durability to match up, although the fight would be epic. After all, if they couldn't come back to life, then only Margan would still be around in the current setting. So overall, if Primarchs are 10 out of 10 deadly, I'd say Pheonix Lords are 9.5, maybe 10 if all of them are allowed to insta-res from the powers of Yned. They just need someone that actually respects the Eldar to write their lore. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Space Elf Spider Lord, the Space Elf Lord bundle, or just any of the major minis. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more lordly content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.